Se dovessi descrivere le GT World Series a chi non le avesse mai viste, direi che sono il distillato in giro per il mondo di questo campionato. C'è tutto tranne la forza G, ci sono i piloti, lo spettacolo e soprattutto le emozioni, la cosa più bella da vedere.
As viagens, né, os eventos em si mesmo, para mim representa muito o que eu acho do game, a minha paixão pelo game. Então eu acho que os eventos, conhecer novos lugares, para mim é muito importante.
Pues lo que me ha enseñado a ser jugador competitivo de Gran Turismo es que cada año hay más nivel en este juego y cada vez se necesita más esfuerzo para ser el mejor aquí en Gran Turismo.
ネーションズカップは去年に比べて今年は個人戦になったのでより個人の戦いが見えるようになってとても良くなったなと思いますし、マニファクチャラーカップについてもラウンド1から3は各地域の選手が活躍できるようになったので、そのフォーマットもすごい良かったかなと思っています。
Being a competitor at these events is just truly a wonderful experience. Just being able to interact with the other drivers, having that sportsmanship, and just kind of building up to it throughout the week. It's just something that you really can't recreate in any other game.
2018年から出場しているんですけれども、今年で7年目になります。なので、はい。ちょっと、そうですね、去年はちょっとあまり経過を残せなかったので、今年は、ネーションズは4年ぶりのチャンピオン、マニアックチャルさん2年ぶりのチャンピオンというところを目指して、今まで頑張ってきました。
I think one thing the fans don't see is the level of dedication they put into these events. What are they, 8 hours a day practicing to get here?
And the mad thing also is the sense of community, is that they're outside of the rigs, they're all good friends, they're all giving each other tips how to go faster. But when they get in the rigs, they all hate each other. It's brilliant.
The live audience is really different than 2022 because now the public is something more for the events. For me, it's like motivated me a lot because I like the public, I like the spectacle. This year we go to 3 countries and you can see the difference of people for the countries, and I like it so much Japanese because it was really cute to take a picture or something. This is really nice.
I think the most important part of the World Series is the audience, because they are who make this bigger, and especially see the atmosphere of how people live our overtakes and our races.
We have 7 languages commentating live in every event. We have local hosts, for example, in Tokyo, which really bring the welcome and warmth to the local audience. That's really cool. I'm not in another eSport event. You can see that.
Commentare in giro per il mondo il campionato è straordinario perché l'energia di tutto il pubblico, gli appassionati, è la stessa. Ed è bello perché sono tutti vicini a noi coi piloti, incredibile.
Gran Turismo is bringing the whole car culture with the motorsport into the digital world, and the Gran Turismo World Series is bringing that all around the world with all the competitors, and this is something that we really, really appreciate.
We are ready to go racing for one more time this season and crown our world champions here at Spa. Honda lead the field down towards the first corner. Honda being muscled to the outside here, and Toyota and Subaru ready to take profit.
That straight line speed of a Supra proving that it doesn't even need to matter what line's on.
Genesis then to go now through and into 4th position.
Side by side, not much grip out there on the curve.
Team BMW, they're going to win the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup here. But across the line, race is about to begin. What will happen as the 12 drivers come across the line and we go racing here in Amsterdam. Serrano leads them down towards the first corner, followed by Dumont, Miyazono, De Bruyne. I don't think Miyazono's going to have anything left in his locker. Indeed, he doesn't. And Dumont accelerates his way through. He's lunging his way to the inside of the Spaniard, down into the hairpin. And Miyazono goes up and through into third place.
He's looking at it. Oh, he does! In the chicane, does at the inside, slows them all up though.
Miyazono pulls out of the slipstream and signs his way past. Takuma Miyazono is the 2024 Nations Cup champion of the world.
At Michelin, we are passionate about competition. It's a part of our DNA, and we are so proud about those 5 years spent with the Gran Turismo World Series and all the great achievements we had all together, like the tire strategy you will find never anywhere else.
今年は、ライブイベントを始めて、2年目になって、リブートして2年目になって、一つにはね、どんどんこのイベントに集まるお客さんがたくさんいらっしゃっていたこと、それが今年の大きな変化ですね。で、あとはプレイヤーのドライバーの皆さんのレベルっていうのも年々向上していて、今年はね、本当にどれもハイレベルなレースで、しかも今日のグランドファイナルがそうですけれども、もうこんなレース見られないっていうレースがね、次々と起きていく、そんな年です。
It's time to meet the drivers for the Manufacturers' Cup for Gran Turismo World Series 1 here in London. Please welcome up, first of all, representing Team Subaru, Takuma Miyazono. Representing Team Honda, Ryosuke Sugimura. Representing Team McLaren, Tomoki Kamada. Representing Ferrari, it's Jun Hashima. Representing Mazda, Ryota Kokeman. Representing Nissan, Hiroshi Okamoto. Representing Toyota, Kenta Morimoto. Representing Porsche, Shota Sato. Representing the reigning world champions for Team Lexus, it's Kanata Kawakami. Representing Lamborghini, Yasuki Goto. Representing Mercedes-AMG, Kojiro Sasaki. And finally, representing BMW, it's Saya Suzuki! Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of our host nation, the United Kingdom. Well, we are hugely excited to go racing here for the Manufacturers' Cup tonight in London. It's going to be hugely exciting to see what happens. Jimmy, of course, 12 teams, lots of new faces, though, on the grid here tonight.
Yeah, a ton of new variables here for this year's Manufacturers' Cup, including, of course, new drivers, a whole new balance of performance, too, to make things very spicy for today's racing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we've also got a couple of interviews coming up for you as well. Jules is down on the stage. She's catching up with reigning Manufacturers' Cup champion driver Kanata Kawakami, as well as Paul Ura, who's representing Team Mazda. He won the Nations Cup back in 2023 and would love to take the crown here this year for Team Mazda.
Yes, so I am down here. Well, Kanata, obviously, you know, this year is very big. Obviously, you want to retain your title, but you've had big driver changes. How is that affecting you coming into round one?
今年は結構大きな重要な年でもちろん去年に続いて今年も優勝したいわけですけど、ドライバーチェンジがかなりガラッとありましたよね。それはどういうふうな影響があると思いますか？
そうですね、ドライバー、確かにヨーロッパは去年コケがいましたけど、今年はジョルジオ・マンガーノ選手がチームメイトになるということで、彼も非常にベテランですし、非常に心強いメンバーだと思ってます。なのでメンバー変わりましたけれども、今年も十分チャンピオンを狙える、メンバーで臨めるのかなと思ってます。
Yeah, so, you know, of course, we changed drivers since last year. Koke is no longer with us, but we are being joined by Mangano, who is definitely a veteran driver of the series. So I still think we have a very good chance of winning.
And Paul, this is the only one you haven't won yet, right? The Manufacturers Cup, is this the one that you're most excited about kind of going for this year so that you can complete the set?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you say, it's the one that I still miss to win. And yeah, I'm excited for this year. We have a very good team, and I wish the best of luck to my teammate today, Ryota.
Yeah. And what exam do you have on Tuesday next week that he's managing with this as well?
Well, I'm studying business economics in the uni, and I have a macroeconomics exam next week. So, yeah, I'm here for the weekend, 4 days where I can disconnect, but then I have to go back to study.
See, you can have it all, apparently. So, well, let's wish them the best of luck, and we are going to take a breakdown of the campaign explainer.
Don't forget that you can get involved with the World Series inside Gran Turismo 7 with the bonus campaign. Just click on the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 World Map, and that's going to give you the chance to win 1 million credits for each of the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Cup by predicting who's going to win. Just think of all the stuff you could buy with that. Don't forget you can enter a vote right up until the start of each Grand Final. Good luck! Watch the World Series broadcast through your GT7 game, and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Watching the Manufacturers Cup means you'll be gifted a car with the winning team's livery. Watch the Nations Cup live stream and you'll be gifted an Aston Martin Valkyrie with the winning country's livery. Tune in and claim your rewards.
Wow, we love to share a little bit of brand new news for Gran Turismo at our Gran Turismo World Series events, and London is no exception. So why don't you take a look at this? Yes, we are very, very excited to announce that the Xiaomi SU7 Ultra will be coming to Gran Turismo very, very soon. That's pretty great. Let's hear it. And here to tell us a little bit more about this exciting new partnership, we have the producer of the Gran Turismo franchise, which is Kazunori Yamauchi. Please give him a big round of applause. We have Head of Vehicle Dynamics and Development and Chief Test Driver, Runjo-san from Xiaomi. And we have Product Manager from Xiaomi as well, Pan Xiaowen. So welcome. Okay, so Yamauchi-san, before we get into the technical things, that looked really fun to drive. Was it really fun to drive?
この車は僕サーキットで走らせたんですけど、とにかくね驚きました。僕ね EV とサーキットって相性が良くないと思ってたんですけれども、この車はね全然違いましたね。サーキット本当にめちゃくちゃちゃんと走る。
Yeah, so I got an opportunity to drive this car on track, and I was actually very surprised because, I had the impression that, EVs and racing circuits don't really go together very well. But this car was fantastic on the track.
でね、あともう一つお伝えしたいのは、この車僕は走らせたんですけど、加速も減速もコーナリングも全部 1.4G 出るんですよ。で、そういう車ってね、これまでなかったんですよね。
Yeah, so and when I drove the car on the track, I discovered immediately that this is a car that accelerates, decelerates, and does cornering at 1.4 Gs, and there's no other production cars that do something like that.
ちょっとね、新しいスポーツドライビングの世界だなと思いました。
And I really thought it was kind of the new era for sports driving.
Well, it definitely looked very fun. Ron, obviously the SU7 broke the four-door car speed lap at the Nürburgring. How was it to have that experience? Because that's impressive.
Yes, of course. 纽北是当之无愧的绿色地狱。我们在纽北需要做到一个好成绩，需要非常快的车以及非常一流的车手，同时要有很好的天气。那在这个基础上，我们去年等了整整1个月，就为了等那一次机会。然后在那一次机会到来的时候，我们就抓住了它，并且去破了它这个记录，做了很好的成绩。
Actually, everyone knows the Nürburgring is called the Green Hell. Its roads and corners are very difficult. It's more difficult than anyone can expect it. So for us, in order to set a good lap time, it's important that you have to have 3 essential things: a very great car, a skilled driver, and of course, a very good weather. Our SU7 Ultra awaited for a whole month in order to take one opportunity to run that only lap we can run. But we took it and we broke the record.
Impressive, really impressive. And Pab, you're not only the project manager, but also someone told me you're a very big Gran Turismo fan. Is that true?
是的，我是 GT 的粉丝，我从 GT 4就开始玩 GT， 也是我加入汽车行业的原因之一。
Yes, I'm a big fan of GT. Actually, I started to play GT since GT4, and that's the reason. Actually, it's been GT which attract me to get into the automobile industry.
小米公司特别的鼓励赛车文化，我身边有非常多的同事都拥有赛车驾照。
Actually, Xiaomi as a company particularly encouraged quite a lot of car culture in the company. Around my environment, a lot of colleagues, they have the racing driver license.
而且小米还在继续培养更多的内部赛车手，在2025年，我们计划在内部培养1000个拥有赛车驾照的同事。
And within the company, Xiaomi is still training more new racing drivers. Actually, by 2025, we are going to have more than 1,000 racing drivers who will be trained in-house.
最后，我们希望和全球的汽车爱好者一起，共同探索驾驶高性能电车的乐趣。
Finally, we really hope to explore the fun of driving high-performance electric cars with all the car fans all around the world.
Yes, that's amazing. I mean, how many of you out there would like your company to help you get your racing license at the same time? Show of hands? Yeah, that would be pretty cool, huh? Obviously, this is just the start, Asia-Oceania, of this amazing partnership. But I think you have one more thing that you want to share with everyone here today.
あとね、もう一つありますよね。
Yeah, there is one last thing.
はい。
Yes, that's right. The Xiaomi Vision GT will be coming to Gran Turismo. That's very, very exciting too, and we are super excited about this partnership. Please give a big round of applause to our guests and to, of course, Yamauchi-san. We're very, very excited about the future of the partnership with Xiaomi and Gran Turismo. Right. Now you can all have a quick sit down and a rest. We're just going to have a little quick recap to get you up to speed for the Manufacturers' Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've all been waiting for. Let's stop talking, let's start racing. We're ready to go then. 2024 Gran Turismo World Series is underway here in Montreal. Jello pulls to the inside as he challenges for second, parks the car in the apex. This is fantastic racing. Here comes Sasaki for the move on the inside, in through there in Jello. It'll be a drag to the line between these two. It is from Igor Farga. He comes to the timeline to win the Manufacturers' Cup.
Welcome to round 2 of the Gran Turismo World Series.
We're ready to go racing here in Prague.
Might be a mistake from Medina as well. Of course, that gap is now down to only a tenth for a second. And that Tano Henderson makes the mistake, gets onto the semi part of the circuit, recovers it well. Coming up now towards T2 and T3, the Bouteille almost pushing Drummond to the inside, goes to Rouge. Oh, it's gone down. Fenton's gone.
Fenton's gone. He's straight off onto the outside of the track. It's Medina versus Hensei. It's winner takes all stake. Medina has done it! Fantastic! Mohamed Medina wins for Ferrari. Action is about to begin. World Series 3 here in Tokyo is underway. And War Suzuki's charge for the time being, but will Suzuki have more room and more momentum on the outside? That is absolutely fantastic. And after Lexus took victory in the opening round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal, they will take their second victory of the season as Kanata Kawakami wins for Lexus here in Tokyo. Ready to go racing for one more time and crown our world champion.
Right, team Porsche knocking Honda off early, returning the favour.
Oh, well, Benelli did not give them a Chevrolet going spinning round.
Douglas Coco Lopez, he goes, lunges up the inside. Will he get stopped in time? No, straight on goes Coco Lopez, but he's got the inside for this left-hander.
BMW, they're going to win the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup here. Across the line will come Team Lexus to win the Manufacturers' Cup by 1 point.
To the 8th season of the Gran Turismo World Series. It's only taken 7 years to finally do this from my hometown, London! I mean, it's a city renowned for some super fun driving, obviously. It makes you not want to have a car. Right, today's going to be a lot more exciting, but maybe as stressful as driving in London traffic, as it's the Manufacturers' Cup. Now, if you missed last year, Team Lexus came out on top, but they've had a lot of driver changes. We've had one of the original OG GT drivers, Coque Lopez, hanging up his gloves. We're a little bit sad about that one. And of course, Igor Fraga has just, casually gone to like Super Formula. So there's a bit of a switch around. What's that going to mean for Team Lexus? Well, I tell you someone else who is very, very keen to know, and that is the ones who were about 1 point behind, Team BMW. So there's a lot on the line today. Let's have a cup of tea and a sit down and a biscuit and figure out how this competition's going to go down while you relax, okay?
The Manufacturers' Cup features 12 teams of 3 drivers selected from the 2025 Online Series ranking. Each team consists of 1 player from each of the 3 global regions: Americas, EMEA, and Asia-Oceania. 1 driver per team will race in each round, with 3 of them competing together at the World Finals at the end of the year. For today's race, 2 time trial sessions will set the grand final grid. By the end of Q1, the bottom 6 teams will have had their grid position set, whilst the top 6 teams will advance to Q2 and get the chance to renegotiate their grid positions for the grand final. In the grand final, 1 driver per team will race for World Series points, where only the top 6 teams are going to score points at all. Only 1 team will be crowned the round 1 winner of the Manufacturers' Cup.
Well, there we are. That's the competition format. Welcome, by the way, to the GT desk.
for the first time in 2025. Great to be back here. Look, let's get straight into it. Of course, qualifying coming along the way. Q1, Q2, Grand Final. We know how it all works out, but let's have a look at the 12 drivers who are going to be taking part in those sessions. Now, Jimmy, there are some familiar faces, there are some new faces. Who have you got your eye on?
I mean, of course, it's hard to look by people like Takuma Miyazono, who's won literally everything there is to win at these Gran Turismo Live events. Kanata Kawakami as well for Team Lexus, last year's champions, as you mentioned. Very, very quick, seemingly everywhere, but of course, importantly, whole new BOP this year. So all the cars are going to be a bit different from how they were last year.
Let's have a look at the track that they're going to be competing on in the qualifying. So Tokyo Expressway, southern counterclockwise circuit, racing soft tyres in the Group 3 cars. Only 4 minutes of qualifying, crucially, in this one as well. So we reckon about 2 time laps.
Yeah, 2 flying laps, of course, and you have those concrete walls either side to basically ruin that for you. So lots of pressure here for our drivers, of course, with a live audience behind them as well. Very interested to see who comes out on top in this first qualifier.
Yeah, absolutely. Drivers then in the rigs ready to go, and qualifying will be underway very, very shortly here. Interestingly, the pit lane is not too far away from the start-finish line, so it's a really short run from there. Let's see how it goes, though, as we get ready for the drivers to head onto the circuit. Qualifying 1 about to get underway here in London. So, drivers then are on circuit. Top 6 from this session will go through and into Q2. So this is going to be really important. As I said, not a lot of time between the pit lane exit and the start-finish line, which also means it's going to be pretty congested out there. Great on the straight, you can use the slipstream. In the corners and the twisty bits, though, not ideal.
Yeah, it sort of presents a bit of a challenge for our drivers. Do you maybe wait up for someone and try and use the slipstream? There are some long straights here on this circuit, so being in the toe is going to be worth quite a bit of time. But of course, conversely, if you catch them in the corners, then that's over, it's done. But we'll see. Our drivers now starting their first flying laps here at Shima in the 458 Italia. It's quite nice to hear this car now. You don't see it much in real life anymore, but it sounds absolutely fantastic here in GT7. Suzuki there in the BMW. Runners up last year by a single point, so we're looking to try and get off to a strong start here in 2025.
Yeah, we wondered if they were going to be the first European manufacturer to claim the Manufacturers' Cup crown, but indeed, as you say, 1 point away at the end of that one. The upshot is Lexus became 2-time Manufacturers' Cup champions. What will the order look like, though, in the end of 2025? Will we see a new team becoming champion as we look at Cockburn making his way through that hairpin? It's a really tricky part of the circuit there. You come out of it and then you've got quite a tight left-handed kick not far away after, so you've got to pick your line pretty carefully.
Yeah, Tom and I were having a little bit of a drive this yesterday to try and get an idea of where the circuit goes. Best of Tom out of that corner every time, without fail, big spin. Yeah, it was consistent, you know. Consistent
hey,
driving.
Consistency makes champions, JB, that's all I'm saying. Looking at Morimoto then here in the Toyota. Now, we understand the straight line speed of this car pretty handy, so along this bit of the circuit, they're in great shape. The difficulty is, are they going to be as quick in the corners, in the medium speed parts of this track?
Quite a bit of weight added to that car from what I've heard as well, so definitely not going to be quite as quick in the twisties so far. Here is Kamada. So Kamada for McLaren will be setting, I think, our first representative lap time. We'll get one more after this. Kamada, of course, kind of new to this this showdown event here, so interested to see how he's going to get on. 156.2, not bad. I don't think that's going to last for long, though.
No, I think he's going to do better, certainly, because exactly that. A plethora of better lap times coming in, and Sato's bettered it by a second immediately in the Porsche. Lexus with Kawakami going up into second position there as well. So, see, the timing screen is going to be changing over the course of the next sort of 30 or 40 seconds or so, and this next lap will be their last flying lap. So, let's see what it's going to look like in a minute's time and who will be crucially progressing forwards. Just again to remind you, top 6 drivers go through at the end of this session into Q2. If you're 7th and down, that sets your grid order for the race, and at the moment Toyota with Morimoto behind the wheel have got a bit of work to do. They can only set the 8th quickest time. Okamoto there with Nissan as well, also former Manufacturers' Cup champions, only 7th fastest. They're a couple of tenths of a second away from the cut-off point right now.
Yeah, a lot of pressure in this. Very easy to get eliminated earlier on. As you say, only about 2 tenths between Sasaki and Okamoto. That is the difference between going into that final shot for pole position and starting from 7th to 12th. So right now Kamada is occupying that P12. As you say, first time on these events, so maybe just trying to get into the swing of things. It's very, very different doing this at a live event
as opposed to in your, I guess, your comfy sitting room at home with your nice cup of tea or whatever hell you drink at home in your own in your own time. It's your business. But Sato here for Team Porsche. Porsche always have been a competitor. It's always been top 5, top 3, and no difference here today. Currently Sato occupying provisional pole position, and right now is on a better lap, it looks like, than his lap before.
Yeah, let's see how Sato can do. Can they make an improvement in that time? Just 2/100ths of a second separating Sato and Suzuki in terms of the timing in this session. So checkered flag is now out at the end of Q1. So Kamada was the first driver across the line last time, and now as he comes to take the checkered flag, is it going to be an improvement for Kamada and for McLaren? They come to break the beam. Can they move up the order? They can, but it's only 7th fastest. They're still nearly 0.2 of a second away. Goto improves, again doesn't make it through to the top 6. So let's see what Lexus can do as they go up and improve into 3rd place. That just secures them a bit more in the Q2 session, as Tsushima not able to make an improvement there either.
Only 2,000ths between Suzuki and Kawakami for 2nd and 3rd. Here comes Tsuchimura in the Honda, does not go faster. Nevo does Kokuben for P5. Can Miyazono make any inroads? Doesn't need to, though. He's already through past the elimination phase. Team Toyota, previous champions. What can they do? Up into 4th place there. So a great second lap there from Morimoto. Can Okamoto go any faster for Team Nissan? No, he can't. P10 for Nissan.
So that knocks out Sasaki at the end of that qualifying session there, with the late improvement for Morimoto in the Toyota. So Mercedes-AMG will be pretty disappointed with the end of that one. It's interesting actually, because a lot of drivers set their fastest lap time in that session on their first flying lap. So I wonder whether the tyres were in the right window and they got too hot effectively on that second flying lap.
A definite possibility here, but of course now for the top 6 drivers, it's time to reset and do it again. It's qualifying under this pressure is already fairly difficult, but doing it twice in a row is, I guess, what makes our champions. So qualifying 2 now, just getting set up down below. Who will take pole position going into the grand final? Well, we'll find out very shortly.
And don't forget about that QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Tell us how you think it's going to go down here in terms of the GT World Series. And crucially as well, who your driver of the day is as well at the end of this one. We'll be voting for that one. Let's take a look, though, at some highlights from that Q1 session. Of course, 2 flying laps for the drivers. It was McLaren and Kamada who set the first representative lap times, but there were big improvements as the lap times continue to count down. And as I said earlier on, the big lap times came at the start of that Q1 session. So keep an eye out and see whether the form book is the same for Q2. The only real big improvement was Toyota and Morimoto. They managed to get themselves up into 4th position at the end of that one and knocked out Mercedes-AMG right at the end.
Yeah, fairly convincing as well. A couple of attempts there between 6th and 7th place. So those going through into Q2, Porsche for Sato, Suzuki for BMW, Kawakami for Lexus, Morimoto, Toyota, Miyazono, Subaru and Kokuben for Mazda, which is AMG, Lamborghini, McLaren, Nissan, Honda and Ferrari, going no further in this qualifying session.
Yeah, and just to remind you, in the Manufacturers' Cup as well, of course, we've got the drivers from the Asia-Oceania region here this weekend. For World Series 2, we've got the drivers from the EMEA region, and then so on and so forth. So we've got different drivers over the course of the different GT World Series events, which is going to be really exciting to see how it all works out. Now, we're getting the drivers ready for Q2 in a few moments' time, but have a look at this. Some really exciting stuff coming along the way from Fanatec. See what you think of this one.
Put your eyes on this. The latest CSL Elite Porsche Vision GT wheel from Fanatec. Fanatec have made this based off of the wheel from the Porsche Vision Gran Turismo concept car that you can drive in GT7. As you can imagine, it is an engineering marvel. It has a cast aluminium core built for serious force feedback, plus custom magnetic shifters that keep that stunning cutout spoke design. Jose Serrano, who drives for Porsche in the Manufacturers' Cup, tried it earlier and was pretty impressed.
So, a new Porsche Fanatec wheel coming along the way very shortly. Very exciting stuff. Now, the drivers then are getting themselves ready to go for this Q2 session. Jimmy, of course, everybody was out in Q1. Not everybody's out in Q2. How is this going to work? What can the drivers take from the Q1 session? What can they have learned, and how can they apply that in Q2?
I mean, you can almost treat it like it's a little bit of practice, just very high pressure practice. I mean, you're going to know who's fast, so you're going to know sort of what the time is to beat here. You can't just sort of cruise through that first qualifying session. You do have to push hard. So everyone's going to know whereabouts they need to be. But I think now it's just trying to reset, try to take a deep breath and get back out there and do the job again.
Yeah, another 4-minute session for the drivers coming up as they head out onto the circuit. There's a bit of disappointment for some. There's delight, though, for 6 of the other drivers, and we wait to see how those positions will be occupied on the grid. Will we see continual improvements once again from Porsche? Will they be able to take pole position here in London? We'll wait to find out. Over to Q2 then, drivers out on track, ready to begin their first flying laps in the session. Who's going to be the first driver to break the beam? It'll be Takuma Miyazono in the Subaru. Comes across the timing line then. What can he set in this session? We'll wait and find out. It's going to be very important to, as we said, get the lap times in, because you only get really 2 bites of the cherry, 1 bite of the cherry now, as a matter of fact, in this session.
No, interesting, we chatted to Miyazono before, and he's kind of saying that he's feeling the pressure a little bit. He doesn't quite feel maybe as fast as he used to compared to the drivers around him. But, you know, this is Takuma Miyazono, someone with a storied history in the Gran Turismo live events. We know he has pace. Let's see if he can execute it here in this Subaru. This is where this BRZ is going to be best, through these little twisty bits through here. Very agile, very light car. Maybe lacks a little bit of horsepower, though, compared to the others.
Yeah, through that left-handed kick, which caught me out yesterday when we were doing a bit of practice. Thankfully for Takuma Miyazono, no such dramas to worry about. This right-hander as well, you've got to hug the inside there, feed it to the wall on the outside, and then you're basically on the loud pedal all the way until you get to the next hairpin bend through this series of sweeping, fast left and right-handed kicks. Look at the elevation there in the circuit as well. It really does give you a lot of camber on the inside of some of these corners. It rises, it peaks, it drops. It is a proper challenge for these drivers.
Yeah, super important part of this lap now is the braking into this hairpin. Let's see if Miyazono nails it or not. So heavy on the anchors now, full brake pedal, ease off, let the car run into the corner, down to first gear for the rotation, second for the grip. Nice and neat and tight. There's a small bit of wheel spin there on exit, but I think it's about as good as you're going to get it there.
So checkered flag is now out. 1 flying lap and done for the drivers then here. And we're in the final sector for Takuma Miyazono. No slipstream for him here in this one. And is that going to compromise their lap time? Will it hurt them overall? We'll wait and see what it looks like through these, again, final sweeping corners. Nice and neat and tidy. Just 1 firm movement of the steering wheel there for Takuma Miyazono as he now aims to break the beam and set the first representative lap time then here in Q2. What does it look like for Team Subaru? They come to take the line. It's a 1:55.3. That's not bad. It's not the quickest time that we've seen so far, though.
Let's see what Toyota can do with Morimoto across the start-finish line. Slower, though. 5/10 slower, almost. Kawakami looking very quick for Team Lexus. Can he go to provisional pole? No, he can't. A bit slower there for that last sector. Here comes Suzuki for Team BMW into provisional pole. 55.1. Can Sato improve? No, he can't. P3.
So they were provisional pole in Q1. They're only 3rd best here. What about Kokkoman then? And he is 6th quickest then. So they really lost time in that lap. The upshot is Saya Suzuki and Team BMW, the runners-up from the Manufacturers' Cup in 2024, that occupy pole position here ahead of the grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup. Really exciting stuff there, and a very commanding lap time, actually. They had a good advantage over the rest of the field.
Yeah, that is the fastest lap of all qualifying. So you can definitely say that the fastest car is in the right spot on the grid there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing how it's all going to go down then here in terms of the race, which will be coming along the way in a few moments' time. So for those drivers who have qualified quite far down the order, Jimmy, obviously they've got a bit of work to do in the opening stages of this race. But is it a disaster? I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to slipstream here.
You know, we always say when racing at Nürburgring, you can definitely win the race at T1, just lunge everyone, it's fine. Don't do that, it's not going to go well for you. But there are, seriously, a couple of quite heavy braking zones here, down towards the bottom of the course, of course, the corner just before the pit lane. Really good spots to fire one up the inside if you're confident on the brakes. So obviously not ideal starting down the bottom half of the grid, but there are chances here to make those positions back.
Yeah, absolutely. As we say, grand final will be coming along the way very shortly. We'll also be catching up with the driver who qualified on pole position, Saya Suzuki, for Team BMW in a few moments' time. And the crowd will be very excited to see what is going to happen here in London. Let's get some qualifying highlights, though, from Q2. So it was interesting, actually, because despite the fact that Porsche were quickest in Q1, they were significantly slower in Q2. Miyazono set the first representative lap time at the end of that session, and we wondered whether they would be able to get as far up the order as they wished to do so, but unfortunately it was not to be for them. Morimoto set a pretty handy lap time, but nowhere near quick enough compared to Subaru. But the upshot is that it was Saya Suzuki who put in an absolute blinder. He managed to extract the maximum. Here is the starting grid then at the end of Q1 and Q2. So this is how the grid will line up for the grand final. It'll be Saya Suzuki and BMW on pole position. Miyazono joins them on the front row for Subaru, Sato for Porsche and Kawakami for Lexus on row 2. Then alongside on row 3 you've got Toyota and Mazda. Further down the order, Sasaki, Goto, Yamamoto, as well as Okamoto, Sugimura and Hashima. So that is your grid then for the grand final. Let's catch up with our pole sitter, Saya Suzuki for Team BMW.
Yes, I mean, that was an intense race. Saya, obviously, you're driving for BMW. There was only 1 point in the Manufacturers' Cup last year. How important is it that you win this year? Because you were so close.
1ポイント差でやっぱり逃しちゃったですが、今年はこれを挽回するのはどれぐらい自分にとって重要ですか？
そうですね、去年は惜しくも1ポイントで2位という成績で終わってしまったので、今年はチャレンジャーとして、挑戦していく形で、本当にもう予選会から勝ち上がってきたので、相当の気合の方は入れてきているつもりです。
Yeah, so last year, I mean, we lost it just by a few points. So, this year, I consider myself a challenger, up and coming. Just gave it all in the qualifying, and that's how we're approaching it this year.
And is it better or worse to have Miyazono in front of you or behind you? What's more pressure?
宮園選手が前にいる方がプレッシャーですか、それとも後ろにいる方がプレッシャーですか？
私にとっては後ろにいる方がプレッシャーを感じますけど、今はもうどういう状況でも走っていこうかなっていう形でもう気合は十分です。
Yeah, usually when he's behind me, I feel the most pressure, but now it doesn't matter where he is. I'm just going to give it all.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Let's give him a big round of applause. Well done. And we're going to throw it back up to you, Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Jules. Just a reminder, of course, this is only stop 1 on the calendar for the GT World Series in 2025. We're here in London this weekend, but in September we head over to Berlin. Very excited for that. And then we head over to Los Angeles. How exciting is that going to be? That's the beginning of November for round 3. And then the World Finals takes place in Fukuoka in Japan at the last weekend before Christmas. So someone will be smiling as they open their presents on Christmas Day. And who is that going to be in the Manufacturers' Cup and the Nations' Cup? Well, I'm excited to see how it's all going to work out.
Yeah, we don't know yet. But we're going to find out at our first round here, of course. But yeah, looking forward, especially to that LA round. Hadn't been there for a long time.
No, I do like a bit of Los Angeles. And yeah, exactly. It's going to be really exciting to see what happens over the course of this weekend as well in terms of the grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup here tonight. How do you see it going down, Jimmy? Can you get a read on anything given what happened in quali?
No. I'd say that I think that I'm a bit surprised by Miyazono's starting position. I honestly thought it'd be a bit further down, not because of the driver himself, but just Subaru have been quite weak over these last few years. They haven't quite had that pace, and now it's starting to come back in again. But the big scalp for me was Team Toyota, of course, not quite again where I'd see them being. They're usually top 1, top 2, but struggling in that midfield there. So all to play for. But again, this circuit is fantastic. So many overtaking spots here, and big concrete wall on the outside when you get it wrong. So always fun to watch.
Absolutely. Let's just have a look at the details then for this grand final. So Group 3 tyres, Group 3 cars rather, racing soft and medium tyres. There's no mandatory tyre change, but they won't make it through on one set of mediums or one set of soft tyres. That's an impossibility, so they will have to stop at least once in the course of this race. 20 laps, though, over the course of this one, and 4 times tyre wear, so 1 lap is equivalent to 4 laps. And there are a lot of medium-speed corners in here, and a fair bit of dirty air kicked up from these Group 3 cars as well. So the front tyres are going to be crying out in pain by the end of their stint.
Yeah, I do wonder if there's going to be just some absolute hero that tries a no-stop. But as you can see from our lovely little tyre graph here, we really don't think that's possible. In fact, the 13 laps there, I was told by one of our race directors, that is pretty much the maximum they think that tyre can do before it just completely falls off.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget to predict the winner as well. You've been online and had a look at it. You think Takuma Miyazono is going to be the man of the moment. I mean, given their qualifying, I wouldn't say that that's a particularly strong guess at the moment, but this is Gran Turismo. Anything can happen, and it usually does. BMW, of course, starting from pole position. They only got 6% of the vote, though.
I always feel like quite quite lucky we don't see the bottom half, like, so, because it's 2% for 6th or whatever it is. What's it going to be for like 10th? Yeah. those poor guys. Where's the support? But here is the man that you guys have all backed at home, Takuma Miyazono. I mean, for good reason. We say it all the time. The guy has won pretty much everything there is to win in these GT Live events. Also, coined the term Miyazono strat. Anything a bit silly, Miyazono did it, and definitely one to watch out for. You can never discount him.
Yeah, absolutely. Drivers then are getting themselves ready to go. Let's go down to Jules on the ground then as we get ready for the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup here in London.
All right, London, are you ready for the grand final? Let's hear it! Well, now is the time. It's round 1, Manufacturers' Cup. I hope you're ready at home. Let's hear it! Woo!
20 laps, 12 manufacturers, 12 drivers, but only one will be crowned the winner here in London. It is World Series 1 of 2025. Let's run you through the grid and how they're going to be lining up ahead of the grand final here at the Tokyo Expressway. Well, Sai Suzuki absolutely blitzed it in qualifying. He lines up on pole position for Team BMW and is joined on the front row by Takuma Miyazono for Subaru. Row 2, Sato in the Porsche. They were pretty handy in Q1 but lost time in Q2. Kawakami and Lexus, the reigning champs, line up alongside. Morimoto heads row 3 for Toyota and Kokeman is there for Mazda in 6th place as well. Sasaki lined up P7 for Mercedes AMG and Gotto for Lamborghini down in P8. Can the mid-engine layout prove to be fortunate here today? Kamada lines up 9th, completing the top 10 is Okamoto for Nissan, and the grid is completed by Sugimura in the Honda NSX, and 12th position is Jun Hashima in the Ferrari 458. Now, of course, the difference in tyre strategies available for the drivers. No options for, or no rules essentially to state that they have to use both tyre compounds in the race, and interestingly there, JB, the top two have gone for the softs.
Yeah, I mean, just like another motorsport series, those soft tyres are going to be faster than those mediums. They'll be off to a good start, and the objective of going on that tyre early is to try and build a gap, try and get into clean air and use the rubber to its best possible use. Of course, championship points are available down to 6th position, so everyone vying over those top 6 places. But watch out for Suzuki, watch out for Miyazono. They'll be fast starting, and after that, it's going to be a bit of a Royal Rumble, I think.
Yep, certainly will. Looking forward to seeing how this one is going to work out. There is Sai Suzuki. Of course, he's in a bit of a disadvantage at the start of this one, despite being in pole position, because he hasn't got the whole of the air being punched in front of him, unlike all the other drivers behind. And are they going to be able to use that slipstream to their advantage once we get onto the long straight here? Well, we're ready to go. World Series 1 of Gran Turismo here in London is underway. Sai Suzuki leads the field across the line, followed by Miyazono, then Sato. So it's BMW, Subaru and Porsche down towards the first corner. Is anybody going to think about a dive into T1? I think they're a bit too far away, really, to be honest with you. What about, though, into the next series of corners? We're on a long straight now and heading into a very heavy braking zone. Is that going to leave BMW under a bit of pressure here from Subaru? Can Porsche, maybe even Lexus, get themselves involved in the action? So here it is, Suzuki that leads on the soft tyres from the fellow soft shod Takuma Miyazono down into the hairpin bend. No moves at the sharp end of this field, but the rear of them looking pretty close actually into there.
Yeah, everyone actually following line of steering through there. So Suzuki and Miyazono lead the pack. Look with the gap already between Miyazono and Sato in that Porsche behind, making use of that soft tyre for now. But as you say, Tom, a lot of medium speed corners here, and there is the dirty air that is thrown up by these Group 3 machines. So it's about being a little bit more, maybe a bit more careful for the corner than you'd like to be. Now Miyazono kind of hanging on for dear life here on the back of Suzuki in that BMW, using the toe to his best possible use, and he might be close enough for a go into the hairpin at the bottom here, but does he want to leave? That is the question. So on board now with Miyazono for this long twisted section, completely flat out in his Group 3 cars, and now we go towards the hairpin. Suzuki goes defensive in the BMW. Miyazono maybe looks to the inside. No, he stays there for now, and the positions remained unchanged at the front.
It's interesting there how the difference in line sort of converged back up, because of course the track bottlenecks up. Sato having a big wiggle out of the hairpin bend. That might leave them under a bit of pressure here from Lexus and Kawakami. It's not a particularly long run into sort of the next big braking zone. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, it sort of flicks right and then left. So you're going through these medium speed corners. The problem that you've got, though, in these medium speed corners where you're stuck in the wheel tracks of a driver in front is, of course, you've got dirty air going through there. You're going to be punishing those front tyres a little bit more. So the converse for Miyazono is that, of course, he has got the slipstream, which is great, but in the corners he's going to be really ruining those fronts.
Yeah, Sato just hit the wall there on the exit and it slowed him right down. Here comes Kawakami in the Lexus. The reigning champions up into third position here. It just shows you how easy it is to make a very small mistake. You touch that wall, you lose so much speed there, but of course the closer you get to it, the wider the corner is, the more speed you can carry. That is pretty much the gambit of the racing driver. Here is Kawakami, and now he's in a defensive position going down to this hairpin at the bottom. Sato looking to the inside, looking to retake that P3. He's there, he's alongside, already back up into third place goes Sato, so he has no interest in staying behind Team Lexus, but of course these guys doing that, they're going to be squabbling a little bit, and that's going to give more of a space in front to Suzuki and Miyazono. They're going to love that. They're going to look in their rearview mirror and going, cool, great, keep fighting boys, keep going, we'll just put away in front.
Change of positions further down as well. Okamoto and Goto have just exchanged 8th position to the advantage of the Nissan driver, so they're up then into P8. Let's see whether they can make any further forward progress. Interestingly, the top shop runners have pulled out a gap of about 2 seconds, so they're now out of that slipstreaming range here in this part of the race, which is great news there for them. But what about Ryota Kokuman here in the Mazda? He's going to pull alongside the Lexus, coming down the straight in towards the big braking zone. So it's now Mazda versus Lexus, and it's Mazda with the advantage with the inside line, and Toyota and Morimoto are going to try and join the party. There's a bit of hip and shoulder, a bit of contact into the hairpin. That's going to send Sasaki wide and drop them down about 3 or 4 places as a result of that as well. So it's now starting to get a bit fast and a bit frantic with these medium shot runners, as we still sit side by side now here between Morimoto and Kokuman for 4th place.
Kawakami there in that Lexus, and it will get a little bit rowdy now, Tom, as you say. There is running really one line through these corners here due to the cambers on the circuit, so as soon as you start going 2 by 2, you just end up having usually inevitable contact. We're on board now with Hiroshi Okamoto for Nissan. Great seat here of the fight ahead of us. Lamborghini in front in P7, almost pushing that thing along in our glorious turbo brick as we go down to T1 one more time. Really fast left-hand is when you want to use all the roads here. Watch out for that barrier on the right-hand side. I think maybe a little bit of contact with the wall there from Morimoto, but still able to hold the position for now as he comes down to the hairpin for the 3rd time.
So Kokuman then in the wheel tracks here of the Toyota. In the background there, you've got Mazda looking like they're trying to put a bit of pressure, but also behind as well, you've got Goto versus Okamoto, part 3. Now Okamoto gets the better of the Lamborghini driver through into that hairpin once more. The gap at the front still continues to build. They're just running their own race here at the moment and have pulled out an advantage of about 2.5 seconds or so over Sato on the medium compound of tyres. Let's have another look at what happened then down into the hairpin bend. This is what cost AMG some track position. They're going to get biffed here, I think, by Okamoto first of all, and Goto there was on his inside as well, so that just lost them 2 places and possibly a 3rd. Just able to get the better of them on the exit of the corner.
These guys watching the Spanish Grand Prix, by any chance? It's good effort, good move, strong move. But meanwhile, at the front of the grid, Miyazono had actually pulled back on to the rear spoiler of Suzuki in front. So there is pace there in that BRZ. I was giving it grief here at the start of the show, but actually he's looking pretty quick, and he's just doing what he needs to do, just holding on to that slipstream, just sitting there. And what sort of trivia is that? Listen to the song Philosophy by Alexandros, right?
I've never heard of the song, so I can't really pass comment on it, to be honest.
Go check it out, guys.
If it works for him, it's a Japanese pop song, as we understand it, so if it works for him, great news, because he's sitting in 2nd place at the moment, and he seems like he is He's in the groove at the moment. Go and have a listen to that after the race, obviously, and let us know what your thoughts are on it. Meanwhile, Kawakami here defends from Morimoto. Across the start-finish line we go. Morimoto with the inside line and track position. Kawakami possibly about to come under threat here from Kokkoman as well, but fourth place does change hands to the advantage of the Toyota. Morimoto is now in front, and they're starting to fall off the coattails of Sato in the Porsche here as well. They're about a second or so away, so they need to be careful about how they start battling here.
Speaking of battling, Kawakami is very keen to get that fourth place. Here comes Kokubun as well in the Mazda, looking to almost push that Lexus through the gap. So, well, if you're not going to go for it, I will, but they all stay one at a time for now. And, of course, not much you can really do outside of the 16 round here. It's a one-at-a-time circuit. There are a couple of places to overtake, but right now it is just follow the leader. And with 4 laps in, the soft tyres seemingly still have the pace advantage over the mediums, but that will switch as the race goes on. So right now, if you're Suzuki, if you're Miyazono in front, we're trying to build that gap. We're trying to make the gap as big as possible, so to prepare for that inevitable tyre fall-off. The medium runners, though, we think they can go upwards of 13 laps before switching to that soft tyre. So it's about making this tyre last, but also by keep pressuring those soft runners, because that tyre will burn out quickly.
Well, you wonder what the soft tyre runners are going to do of Suzuki and Miyazono. Are they going to go for that two-stop strategy here in this race as Kokkoman looks to the inside of Kawakami? And hits Morimoto there as well. There's more contact behind with Kawakami, then subsequently getting into the back of Kokkoman. That's allowed the door to be open for Okamoto in the Nissan, who now drags alongside the Lexus, and ready to join into the party is Yusuke Goto in the Lamborghini coming through into the right-hander here as well. So it all got a bit frantic there for just a few moments. The upshot is that it's cost Lexus positions here.
How tight this racing is. You've got P4 all the way down to, well, last, and they're just separated by about 2 seconds, all of them there on a similar piece of tarmac. Kawakami has lost a few places now, down 2 places from his qualifying place, but conversely behind him, Okamoto up 3 in the Nissan. He's the biggest mover so far, so watch out for him. He is on a charge.
So, under investigation then is Kokkoman versus Morimoto. We saw that collision a few moments ago. Let's see what the stewards decide on that one. Meanwhile, you've got the Porsche there, just sitting in third position. The gap is still stabilised at about a second or so between themselves and Morimoto in the Toyota. Meanwhile, you've got Kokkoman versus Kawakami, who's on the outside there. You've got to be so careful with this one, though, because they are so close on circuit. You open the doors to take a wider line, and then that possibly means that someone can walk through it from behind, and it compromises your entire run down the next straight.
Yeah, it's, you have to be careful here. So, interestingly, look at the tyre wear there on those front tyres of Suzuki compared to Miyazono. You'd kind of think maybe that Miyazono would be worse, given he's sitting in that dirty air, but I think that car is just a bit lighter, and the weight of the BMW really showing there on those front tyres. So that could be the difference. Going up and down the field, though, I think the best on their tyres so far is Kawakami in 6th place, but doesn't mean much if you're stuck there.
No, you've got to try and make the progression through. Maybe just playing the longer game here in this one and waiting for the right time to strike. Kokkoman goes to the defensive line into the hairpin bend. It all bottlenecks up, and Okamoto once again gets into the back of Kawakami, and a bit of hip and shoulder there from Kamada in the McLaren as well. Someone is going to be more disappointed than Arusa who's had their tonsils out after this race. I'm fairly sure of it, because they are so close to one another out on this circuit that you can just sense the fact that it is starting to bubble up. We're only on lap 5 as again the McLaren of Kamada looks to the inside of Hashina there.
It's not really a move there to be made, just sort of sticking there their nose alongside the rear wheel, and you're never going to get through there. You're just going to cause a little bit of contact, but yeah, really getting a little bit desperate now, because if you're stuck at the back of the straight, there's not really much you can do apart from try and push the guy in front of you on a little bit. Now, you might be wondering, well, why aren't these guys bump drafting? They'll definitely catch up if they did that. That is actually against the rules here in the GT live events here. You get 1 point for bump drafting, and then you get a big fat penalty. So that's why those guys are not pushing each other a lot.
Yeah, they're just taking it fairly easy at the sharp end of this race. We get into lap 6 now, which is when we're expecting the soft tyres to start going off. Don't forget as well, in the viewers campaign, if you watch directly on Gran Turismo 7, you can receive a gift card for every show that is watched. Jun Hashima looks to the inside of Goto for 8th place rather in this one, and gets the move done in the Ferrari, so now moves up into 8th position. Meanwhile, there are your top 2, Suzuki in the BMW and Miyazono in the Subaru. Interestingly, Suzuki's front tyres are a fair bit more worn than Miyazono's.
Yeah, about another half a lap or so's worth of wear there on Suzuki's side, maybe a lap on Miyazono, but the rear tyres not quite as balanced. But what that says to me is that Miyazono, if he can keep this up, might get one more lap out of those soft tyres. And those soft tyres, they do tend to be pretty quick right until the end of their life. So that could be the difference here. But the gap now between Miyazono and Sato, and we're getting up to about 4 seconds now, 4.4 at the last time of checking there. So they are doing the job here, making that gap, but I think it could have been bigger. I don't think that's exactly it. They haven't made the most of it, the guys in the front.
Morimoto here looking against Sato as well. The gap was up to a second about 3 or 4 laps or so ago. It has now come right down, and Morimoto is bringing a train of cars along with him, which might leave Sato under a bit of pressure here. And will that mean that they're able to find their way through and present an opportunity for that final podium place? It's only the early stages of the race. There's no point getting too excited about things at the moment. Still plenty of time for the complexion of this one to change. But we come along the start-finish straight. Sato keeping the car very firmly on the left-hand side of the circuit. They're going to go for a defensive line down to T1. They move over to the normal racing line, but you can see the closing speed there with this Toyota, and subsequently how much quicker they're able to go through into turn 1. They have to back right off of the pace, even though they've got more of an advantage and a bit more grip underneath them, courtesy of some fresher tyres then here as well. And you sense that it's starting to bubble up here for this podium place, and Sato knows that, goes for the defensive line. Morimoto goes for the outside into the hairpin. Can they invent something into the braking zone? Morimoto on the outside, and now through into third.
It's that Toyota now starting to come strong in the second part of the race, maybe just a little bit better on those worn tyres than the cars around it. Again, reminder of our tyre strategies there. We think that these soft tyres, this is going to be their last lap, although I'm thinking about it. I think Miyazono can definitely do one more. I'm not sure about Suzuki though. The gap has come down slightly now between P2 and P3, so those medium tyres are starting to be quicker than the softs. Now, the question is, has Miyazono, has Suzuki, have they noticed that? Are they going to box this out? So the pit lane is just in this hairpin here. Suzuki leading the soft runners down towards there. Miyazono in P2, who we ride on board with now. Do they peel to the left-hand side of the circuit? They do, both of them into the pit lane there, switching over to that medium compounder tyre. They've decided they can't do any more, and Suzuki and Miyazono both pit together.
What they now need is a nice bit of clear air to run along with each other in this race. Pit loss time about 11 seconds or so, plus the time that you are stopped for, which, as you can see, is fairly minimal. Where are they going to emerge back into this race, and how much is the distance in terms of seconds going to be between Sasaki and Suzuki? Meanwhile, the sharp end of this one, now the battle for the effective race lead is starting to get a bit scrappy. Sato has gotten back in front of Toyota. Meanwhile, Suzuki and Miyazono, they've got about 6 seconds or so to Sasaki. That's a good buffer for them. They can just run their own race, carry on doing their own strategy, and not worry about being caught up in other people's dramas.
Well, this is the important part of the race now with Suzuki and Miyazono. You need to really push now and make the most of that clear air in front, as Tom says. So Sato, conversely, in the same sort of position. These next few laps, they need to make sure they are not fighting so much and just trying to get that lap time in, because they, the guy directly behind is not the threat for the win. It is the 2 cars in 11th and 12th place.
And the converse to that, of course, is that could also happen to the likes of Morimoto, Sato, Kokuma, etc. They're obviously on a different strategy on the medium tyres. In theory, they'll be quicker at the end of the race, if indeed they do go on to soft tyres, which is what we're expecting them to do. So, but the problem is, if they start fighting amongst one another, start squabbling, that's going to cost them time. And if it costs them a second, half a second or so, that can be the difference between challenging for the victory and battling for the lowly podium places.
Well, we're going to find out in about 5 laps' time when these guys come in and bolt on a set of those soft tyres. So it does seem that the strategy is that one stop, and it is make the mediums go as long as possible and then get on those soft tyres. So a reminder, the points awarded here for the top 6 cars, of course. 6 down to 1 from 1st to 6th position, and that will count, of course, towards the final all the way in Fukuoka at the end of the year. So score points early, push in a good place for the rest of the year.
So on board here then with Jun Hashima in the Ferrari. We know that car's pretty handy. We've seen good pace from it over the course of last season with Podium, who took the victory in World Series 2 back in Prague. Meanwhile, let's have a look at some dramas then here between Miyazono and Suzuki. So this is coming down into the hairpin after the first corner. And you see Miyazono getting the inside line, getting trap position there against Suzuki. The positions, though, yeah, they still sit differently there. So Miyazono is now back in front.
So interesting, that's Miyazono basically making a move for the lead of this race. He's decided he doesn't want to sit behind Suzuki anymore, he wants to push hard on this medium compounder tyre. He's already made a gap about half a second there, so maybe we're going to now see the real pace of Miyazono in that Subaru.
Well, what was the good thing about Miyazono's car in that first strategy? The tyres. It went, 4 or 5% higher than Suzuki's. And he was in dirty air over the course of that first stint, so maybe he now wants to run in clear air, save those tyres even more, and maybe the fact that that car is being pretty kind to the rubber that's on the bottom of it will prove to be a benefit for them later on in the race. Meanwhile, we look at the battle for the race leaders it sits for now. Morimoto still defends, Sato's looking for the inside line, Kokeman's getting involved as well as Kawakami. Kawakami's on the inside then for third position against Kokeman. Sato there looking to pick the pocket of the Toyota as well, but nothing doing. So Kawakami was the only beneficiary despite a lot of action kicking off into there.
Now what's interesting, behind this, it's only a 4.5 second gap until we have Miyazono and Suzuki. They're not too far behind this little train, so really showing the pace of that new medium tyre compared to the old right now as Morimoto leads into the tunnel from Sato from Kawakami, the snake of cars echoing through the tunnel here on the Tokyo Expressway, coming down to the hairpin one last time. 9 laps down, 20 to go. Morimoto will try and defend into this hairpin, and we'll just let Sato have it. These guys need to maybe start working a bit more intelligently together if they want any hope of taking the win here today. Kawakami, big lunge around the outside. Is he going into the pits?
Yeah, he can't overshoot it that much.
Say, what a move if he's making that work.
Yeah, straight to the pits then for Kawakami. Now, interestingly, where's he going to go in terms of strategy? Medium tyres, about a second or so slower, and he's gone for another medium set of tyres. So he's going for the medium strategy then, presumably for the end of this. I'm hoping that the longevity of that compound of tyre will prove to pay dividends later on in the race. And what's the thing you need in pit lane? After pit lane, you need clear air. So he needs to come out without any dramas. No traffic behind him is the crucial thing there for Kanata Kawakami. As he emerges back into this race, he's about 5 seconds or so off the back of Suzuki. Again, works out quite nicely for them here, and he'll have decent enough rubber to the end of this one.
Just have to wonder if that's the play or not. Like, it's a tricky one because we know how fast that soft tyre is. But we're seeing the tyre life here on our screens, and a lot of the guys are struggling. And if they want to make that soft tyre work, which is about 7 laps maximum on that, Sato, for example, who has pretty much no rear tyres left compared to the guys around him, needs to make those tyres last another 3 laps.
Well, just to give you an idea of the difference in pace between worn mediums and new mediums. New mediums for Miyazono and Suzuki, they're in the sort of mid 1 minute 57s. The drivers that are all on the medium tyres that haven't pitted yet, the sharp end of this race that you're looking at, they're all sort of in the early to mid 1 minute 58, so they're about 8-9 tenths of a second slower at this point.
Maybe Kawakami saw this. He thought, okay, right, I can see that I'm stuck in this train. I can't do anything else. If I pick the softs of everybody else, I'm going to still be stuck in this train. I might as well try something different. And he ended up boxing for those medium tyres, and we'll just keep an eye on that because we'll see if anyone else blinks. Now will be the time to do it at the end of this lap, coming again for that medium set. Will Kawakami get an undercut? We will see. Morimoto still leading this train of the non-stoppers so far in Team Toyota. That car still strong here in 2025.
Sato's the one you need to worry about because he's got lower tyres compared to everybody else around him. Kokeman, incidentally, in the Mazda, looking pretty handy there with 45%. Now Sato's into the pits in the Porsche at the end of lap 10 then. So how is this going to work out? What's the gap going to be relative to Kanata Kawakami? Sasaki and Sugimura also following him into the pit lane there as well.
Look at the gap. There's Miyazono, there's Kawakami, and they just swan off into the lead. Massive lead for those guys. They have played the right thing for now. Kawakami there just about getting by Sato, so he pitted 1 lap earlier. Tyres are fired up, already up in temperature, and by Sato he goes. So maybe that was the right call there for Kawakami.
Well, the undercuts work. The problem is now that he, of course, has worn his tyres a little bit more because he's done 1 more lap. So will they come to bite him in the backside in the closing stage of the race? He's, enjoying the fruits of his labour as it sits for now, but let's see what it looks like in 8.5 laps time. Meanwhile, the sharp end of this one, the top 6 drivers have not yet pitted. That's Toyota with Morimoto, Kokeman with Mazda, Okamoto with Nissan, Hashima with Ferrari, Goto with the Lamborghini, Kamada with the McLaren, and Miyazono, of course, is the first of the drivers that has now pitted. So 6 drivers yet to box. Will they come in at the end of this lap? Let's wait and see.
we will, as these guys still squabbling. Although they have calmed down somewhat now. I think they understand that they do need to just push and try and lose as little time as possible. Let's look at the background. You see there in the background Kawakami and Sato, but here is Suzuki and Miyazono, both looking very quick right now, and importantly, only 4.8 seconds now behind Kamada in the McLaren, who's yet to stop. So these guys are going to jump everyone when they box, but they are going to be on that older tyre at the end. But track position is important around here.
That's the problem, isn't it? You've got to find that balance between using track position and also wearing your tyres out. They've got a 5-second buffer over Kawakami, which is, great for them right now, but is it going to leave them vulnerable at the end of the race? Let's wait and see what happens, though, as we come down in towards the pit area. Does anybody dive into the pits? Morimoto there on the outside as Kokeman goes over to take the lead. We know that Mazda has been pretty kind on its tyres so far in this race, and they still sit side by side on the exit of the corner. So the RX Group 3 car then now moves ahead of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT concept. So it's Mazda who hit the front for the first time in 2025 now.
There they are. Kokeman, of course, a bit of a veteran from these series. There you go, started playing GP, he's 3 years old. This is why he's so much better than I am.
3 years old, I was still trying to play the PlayStation, and my sister was putting the controller underneath so that I wasn't getting in the way of her playing the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah, giving you the unplugged controller.
Absolutely.
Classic.
That was it. I know.
I do that now. I do that with you still now.
You wait till Guy gets a bit older, mate. He's going to love that one. So Kokeman it is that leads at the start of lap 12. Then Morimoto in second. You can see these drivers have now started to pick up the pace. It's interesting, actually, because they were in the mid 1:58 at once upon a time when they were squabbling amongst one another. They've now picked up the pace to sort of the low 1:58, some even in the higher 1:57. Kokeman was a 57.6 last time around, which was pretty handy. Not quite as quick as we've seen from some of the medium top runners who are on fresher tyres at this stage, but given the fact that they're 12 laps old, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can see, though, the gap between Kamada and Suzuki. Very, very close right now. As Paul Euro looking on at his teammate for Team Mazda. Of course, he will be in the car at one of our other events representing them. Berlin, yes, he'll be in there for them. Just hoping that he gets off to a good start here this year for Team Mazda. So here are the tyres as they stand. Now these guys now, they're all going for the soft. There's no doubt about that. They're trying to make the 13 laps work on the medium compound tyre. Morimoto in the background looking to try and get back past Kokeman. Kind of working together there, giving each other the slingshot without bump drafting and just pulling themselves along a bit quicker from the rest of the group.
Now we're coming towards the end of what we thought was going to be the useful window, and indeed the top two are coming in at the end of lap 12 then, and they're also being followed in by another driver as well. So Goto is into the box there. So now it's only 3 drivers that are yet to pit in this race. So a lap earlier than we're expecting the ultimate race distance to be, but it's interesting there, the drivers that started on the medium tyres now going onto the soft compound. So the real outlier here is Kawakami, who of course went medium in this race. Is that going to prove to be to his benefit later on when those soft tyres are, I imagine, going to be pretty clapped out?
Yeah, so as well, I didn't notice that Suzuki did get back by Miyazono at some point, so yeah, 56.6 on the last lap. These guys are flying at the moment. You can see there are Suzuki and Miyazono in relation to those who have not stopped yet. So using that fresher medium tyre, they've been able to catch back up onto the pack in front of them, but now they're going to be in the converse position where their tyres are going to be a little bit worn and they're going to be chased down by the guys who are now on those soft tyres. Morimoto, Kokeman and Goto on there as well. They'll be joined very shortly, I'm sure, by Okamoto, Hashima and Kamada.
Well, you get the sense that this race is going to start bubbling up towards the end of this one. Let's have a look at how Suzuki got back in front of Miyazono through these fast left-handers, and that was a beautiful bit of slipstreaming there in the BMW. Switched to the inside line, got through, and is now ahead of the Subaru for what we effectively think is going to be the race lead. You can see they've ascended up to 4th position, and they are lurking there in the background from the top 3, who of course are still owing that one final pit stop in this race.
So here we are, they're into the tunnel again. Now, I have no doubt we're going to see the top 3 now peel into the pit lane, left-hand side on the way into the hairpin here. That will release, of course, Suzuki and Miyazono back up into 1st and 2nd place. But can they stay there? Sato behind there on a fresher medium compound tyre. Kawakami as well on the same strategy. Then behind them, it's the soft runners. They're going to be very, very fast at the end of the race. But do they have enough time to chase down the leaders? Well, stay tuned and find out.
So into the box come the top 3 then. So all pit stops now beginning to work out. Keep an eye out though for Kokubun, Morimoto and Goto. They're on the soft tyres. We reckon they could go about 8 or 9 laps or so in this one. So are they going to be able to be a threat and close down on the medium shop runners in the end of this race? They're only about 2 seconds off the back of the likes of Sato and Kawakami, who've gone medium in terms of the tyre strategy, so they might be able to challenge for the podium. The overall race win though is a further 5 seconds up the road from that one, so I think it's going to be a bit of a tall order, but if these two start squabbling and indeed maybe they come to blows, then the door is wide open.
Yeah, I mean, Kawakami's tyres aren't even that much fresher. I mean, it's a couple of laps of Miyazono and Suzuki, so I think that might not have been the play there for Team Lexus. I mean, we'll see how it goes. We've still got a few laps left of this one with the strategies yet to unfold. So here's Goto with Morimoto. These guys just boxed for those soft tyres, so they're going to be fast now. I think realistically for them, minimum lap time, 56s. They need to be in those 56s if they have any hope now of catching the cars in front, which means working together and not trying to lunge each other every corner. But if you go to right now in the Lamborghini and you think, oh, maybe I'm a bit quicker, how do you resist that?
So Kenta Morimoto then behind the wheel of the Toyota, coming under pressure here from the Lamborghini into the hairpin we go. It's an interesting corner that, because it's sort of 2 corners in one effectively. You've got to really time your line quite nicely because it's a fast jink to the left following this one. You sort of have to get out of the throttle and then back on it. Lining astern are these top 3, well, I'd say top three in this sort of soft shod battle at the moment. And are they going to start working together? Because the problem is if they start squabbling and then destroying their tyres amongst one another, then that's going to compromise their race, possibly cost them an opportunity of the podium, maybe even the overall victory, depending on how this one plays out.
Yep, still need to wait and see how that's going to happen. We're watching Kokubun here, 55.9 was his last lap, so that is the fastest lap of the race. Kokubun and Team Mazda are on a charge now. In front is Sato, who opted for the double medium strategy. He is going to be nowhere. Kawakami there as well, and they're already being caught by the soft runners. So I think the double medium strategy, Tom, was not the way to go, and we're now seeing that in action as Kokubun leading 2 other soft runners right onto the back of 3rd and 4th place.
Well, unless those tyres fall off a cliff at the end of this race, the soft shod runners of Kokubun, Morimoto, Goto, etc., then you would imagine, like you say, that they are not going to be able to keep hold of that podium. On board we ride here with Kokubun in P5.
What's important now, though, for Kokubun is to get by these guys as quick as possible. He cannot afford to be stuck here. On board then with the Mazda RX Vision GT concept stealth model, longest name I think in GT7 there, that glorious rotary engine. As we come through this left hand, you can see how much quicker those soft tyres are. Now Kokubun is just about going to be getting the faintest sniff now of a slipstream. That will make him a bit quicker down the straight. Will he get him close enough though for a move down to the bottom? I don't think so, but I think it's only a matter of time before we see Kokubun making the move from Kawakami and Sato.
Yeah, what Kokubun would really benefit from here, as well as Morimoto and Goto behind, is those 2 in front to start squabbling amongst one another. You can see Sato a little bit wide going through that hairpin there as he eases onto the throttle here. Does Kokubun sort of takes a couple of stabs at it as he tries to get optimum traction on the exit of this one, and as you said, he needs to get his way past. Morimoto and Goto likewise there as well. So if you're Kawakami and if you're Sato, it's sort of squeaky bum time really here at the moment, because you know that you're going to be coming under pressure. The sharp end of this race, what Kokubun would really benefit from is if Suzuki and Miyazono start getting involved in their own squabble here as we look back for this battle for 3rd place.
This is going to be it. This is going to be decisive here for Kokubun. Will he go for a move down to the hairpin? He needs to. He's got the toe. He's got Morimoto and Goto behind him as well, all looking to try and make the move. Sato goes defensive to the inside. It's now too wide. Where will Kokubun go? Nowhere to go there. So Sato blocking the inside there. Kawakami also on the outside. Kokubun pushing his way through there up into P4. But Kawakami now really is a bit of a sitting duck here, Tom.
Yeah, bottlenecks up there as well. Goto trying to get involved in the act as well. He's just trying to show a wheel on the inside as well as Morimoto. So through into the right-hander we go. Kokubun on the inside, Kawakami on the outside. Soft versus medium. Soft is going to reign supreme then here. And is Kawakami going to lose maybe another position, possibly to Goto, and indeed then also to Morimoto as well. So 3 places lost in the space of as many corners. Next target for Kokubun, Goto and Morimoto is going to be Sato in the Porsche. Across the timing line we go, down into T1. The Porsche driver of Sato knows that, takes a defensive line through there, and now we know that the soft tyre has got a greater amount of grip underneath, and surely it's going to be into the hairpin bend where they're going to think about a lunge.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do there. The idea is just try and get a good setup now down to the hairpin, use the toe, and Sato, I mean, valiantly defended, but you can't help but think it's all going to be for nothing as we now go down towards the hairpin. Kokubun looking to the outside of Sato, who goes defensive in the Porsche. Will he be able to outbrake the Mazda on the outside? He tries to. He's still alongside the Porsche, fighting for dear life for P3. Keeps the place for now, but on the inside there, who is that?
That's Goto. That was Goto on the inside with a massive send. The door was sort of half open there, and now it's Sato versus Goto, side by side on the exit of the corner. This is getting fast and frantic. Goto with the inside line against Sato, again soft versus medium. Now it's the Lamborghini driver that's up through and into the podium places. Sato almost faces the wall on the outside. Morimoto picks his pocket into the Toyota, and now also Kokubun ready to join in on the action.
Yeah, great defensive effort there from Sato, but short-lived. Cannot defend against that medium tyres. Contact in the tunnel. Is there going to be a crash? No, Goto in the wall there slows him right down. Kokubun back up into P4 now, leading this train. Sorry, Morimoto in the Toyota there is now as well. These guys all fighting furiously for that last podium place. Sato in the wall. He's round. He's round. Sato there in the wall, and there goes Porsche's effort for any position here in round one of the grand final.
Well, we said it was going to bubble up, and so it proved to be exactly what we didn't want to see happening in the Gran Turismo World Series, and unfortunately there was a lot of fast and frantic action going on in the space of a handful of corners, and unfortunately that many drivers into that position just doesn't go. The upshot is it is Porsche and Sato that have been the big losers in that one, and they are now going to be going home pointless. Points only down to 6th place here, just to remind you. The upshot is, whilst this battle's been going on here, Jimmy, it's allowed that nice bit of clear air for Suzuki in the BMW, Miyazono in the Subaru, to just have enough of a buffer to not worry about what's going on behind.
Let's take a peek at what happened then. So on board Kawakami, Sato goes to the inside, a lot of moving there from a lot of people, so a little bit of contact on the back. Oh, Kawakami there caused that. I don't think it was on purpose at all, but unfortunately it doesn't really matter. He's the one that caused that contact there, so I do think we're probably going to see a penalty for Kawakami at some point. Meanwhile, they're still fighting, Tom. They're still fighting for that third place. I think they all know now they can't catch Suzuki and Miyazono, so you might as well just have this last position. But of course, the investigation, the result of that might change this race entirely.
Yeah, Kawakami not giving this one up. He's on the medium tyres, but his tyre wear relative to those around him, pretty similar on the soft tyres. And of course, we know that medium is slower over the course of a lap. So this is some great driving from Kawakami in terms of the lap time and keeping hold of track position. But of course, we know that incident between himself and Sato is now under investigation. Meanwhile, the sharp end of this race, we've not mentioned it too much over the last few laps. They're still only 0.3 of a second away from one another. And this is going to start to get pretty frisky, isn't it, at the sharp end of this one?
You get the impression maybe Miyazono is waiting, and Kanata Kawakami, as we expected, given a 3-second penalty there for his part in the incident with Team Porsche and Sato. I mean, again, not intentional, but just because you don't mean something doesn't mean it isn't your fault. And unfortunately for Kawakami, that 3-second penalty is going to take him way outside the points there. As you can see, points awarded first, down to 6th position. What I can tell you now is Kawakami won't be having any of those.
That is a big shame there for Team Lexus, and not the way they'll have wanted to kick off their title defence in the Manufacturers' Cup. So now, what does it look like for the final podium place as well? Morimoto still right on the coattails of Ryota Kokubun in the Mazda at the moment. We're right on board with Yasuki Goto, who was up as high as third a few moments ago, but has sort of lost out, really, as it were. Now he's got a face full of Lexus as we come across the timing line, and there is the penalty being served for Kawakami, who drops back down to, what, 9th position now, so that's really proven to be quite detrimental to the reigning Manufacturers' Cup champions here.
That feeling just sucks as well, because you get to the line, you have to slow down for 3 seconds, then get back up to speed, so 3 seconds is more like 5 or 6. You really get hammered for that. So yeah, unfortunate for them, but of course the fight still rages on at the front of the field for P3. It's Mazda versus Toyota. These guys have been rivals in the Manufacturers' Cup for about as long as I can remember it, and still going on here. Goto in the background in that Lamborghini. It's a good run for Lamborghini, to be fair. But we haven't seen Lambo at the sharp end of one of these events for quite some time. So seeing in P5 there challenging what could possibly be for a podium is really impressive there for the Italian brand.
Yeah, I wonder if the balance of performance update for this season has just helped them a little bit in terms of closing that deficit down, because as you say, we haven't seen Lamborghini up the sharp end of the field for, as you say, a fair amount of time. So we'll see how it goes over the course of the remaining World Series events in 2025. Meanwhile, we look here at Kokubun with Morimoto again still very close behind. 2.5 laps now to go. We go from day into night and into the daylight indeed here as well, as Kokeman again takes a defensive line. Morimoto goes for the outside line, the sharp end of the field. The lead of the race is changing hands here between Miyazono and Suzuki as well. Now it's the Subaru driver that's just gotten in front from what we can see on our timing screens, as third place is now occupied by the Mazda. We need to look at the battle though for the race lead, because it's all well and good looking at this battle for the final podium places, but the two of Miyazono and Zaya Suzuki are getting pretty frantic here then. We thought this was going to start to kick off, and lap 18 is where the battle begins.
Yeah, I was watching the live timing, Tom. I saw Miyazono got Suzuki just down into the hairpin there, and Suzuki, using the power of the BMW, was able to pull back through, but now Miyazono making his move. 2 laps to go here then at the grand final, round 1 here at London for the Manufacturers' Cup. It's Team Subaru leading Team BMW at the moment. Meanwhile, the fight's still going on for 3rd, 4th and 5th, and here is that move for the lead here. So Miyazono there using the toe up the inside in the Subaru. Very nice and tidy through there, just about making that move stick. And I think he lost the drag race up here a little bit, but had the right line into the rest of the course and managed to maintain 1st position.
Yeah, it worked quite nicely there for Takuma Miyazono. Sort of lunged his way to the inside. The door was kind of half open, but he decided to open it fully, going through into that corner and force Suzuki for a wider line to compromise his compatriot's exit going through there. And now we look at the sharp end as the headlights glimmer in the nighttime here at the Tokyo Expressway. It's Subaru versus BMW for the race victory then here. 0.3 of a second in it, and a lap and a half left to remain for this one. It's too close to call. You have to say the BMW faster in a straight line, but the Subaru definitely quicker in the twisty bits.
You've got to think about it here. It's a high speed game of chess. So Suzuki there shows his hand. Up into 1st place goes Team BMW. Is that where Miyazono wants to be though? Because on the next lap, the final lap, he'll have the toe down to the hairpin. But Suzuki is not thinking about that right now. Miyazono looking to the inside. Will he ever go here? Yeah, showing his nose there, going for a very late move on Suzuki. They're just trying to unsettle him on exit now as the sun goes down. We go into night, and Miyazono now starting to move around on that medium compound of tyre. So that medium compound starting to get now to the end of its useful life, but these guys still pushing onwards. 3-second gap behind the Morimoto in the Toyota as we come onto the last lap here at Tokyo.
So winner takes all stakes, and of course points available for the top 6 drivers here in this one as well. Who is going to be taking the maximum crown though? And Suzuki was just into the wall on the outside there as we head across the timing line to begin the final lap. It's BMW versus Subaru. It's Suzuki versus Miyazono as we head down into turn 1 for the final time.
Here we go then, a little bit of contact there of Suzuki on the way through. Have to be millimetrically perfect through here to get the best line, and Miyazono now in a great position for a move down into the bottom of the course. But do you go for that if you're Miyazono? Do you just wait and be patient and take the move into the hairpin? Let's wait and see. Miyazono deep in the slipstream, goes to the outside then, coming down to this first hairpin. Going to get squeezed out, I think, by Suzuki. Looks to try and go back inside, but as Suzuki might have outbraked himself here, will Miyazono get the cut back? Not quite for now.
Suzuki's got that line covered there quite nicely, hasn't he? It's going to be all about the traction, the exit out of this corner and the run through into the next series of them then. So we ride on board with Takuma Miyazono battling for the victory and trying to get maximum points for Subaru to try and take that crown back in the Manufacturers' Cup in 2025. And now we know that Miyazono pretty handy in the slipstream and diving his way to the inside. He's going to have to think about this one quite carefully then here. Use that strength of the Subaru in the last stages of this race.
Here we are then in the toe. Miyazono quite far back though. It's going to be quite a big lunge there for Takuma. So Suzuki in front. Miyazono on board looking to try and displace him. Coming down to the hairpin now, deep in the toe. 272 kilometres an hour. Suzuki goes defensive. Miyazono goes all the way to the outside. Can he try and get a putt? He does! Plays him like a fiddle. Up into 3rd place goes Takuma Miyazono. Masterful move there from the multiple champion. Up into lead he goes with only a few corners to go.
There is no adage for experience in the Gran Turismo World Series, and so it proves to be for Takuma Miyazono. Sasaki and Kawakami are under investigation in the closing stages of this race, but that was absolutely brilliant from Takuma Miyazono. Just a handful of corners now remaining. Can Suzuki invent something? I think he's a bit too far away unless you can think about a lunge to the inside, but it is then going to be maximum points in Gran Turismo World Series 1 here in London for Team Subaru and for Takuma Miyazono, who win the grand final. What a fantastic end to that race. Suzuki and BMW come over the line in second. It's Kokeman for Mazda on the podium in 3rd place. Morimoto for Toyota, Okamoto for Nissan, and then Kamada for McLaren at the end of that one complete the points finishes, but what a final lap, what a bit of driving, and what great respect between two very experienced competitors here.
Man, that is what experience looks like. Just set up Suzuki so nicely there. Just, yeah, I'm going to go to the outside. Suzuki outbrakes himself, and just as that gap opens up, Miyazono places that Subaru there, and that's it. Done deal. Great move there for someone who didn't really lead any of the race, but you don't need to lead any of the race until that bit right on the last lap, and that's where he was. So great work there by Miyazono and Subaru, and Suzuki too. Shame to lose out for Team BMW, but great podium for them, and of course for Kokuma as well, Team Mazda. So an awesome 1-2-3 there for Subaru, BMW and Mazda.
Yeah, great respect between those two drivers, and looking forward to the highlights of this one then here. So we know it was BMW and Suzuki who started this one on pole position. They decided to go for the soft tyres, likewise Takuma Miyazono in the Subaru. Everybody else though started on that medium compound. It was pretty sort of even Stevens at the sharp end of this race. The two at the front, as we expected, began to build a gap. It started to kick off a little bit behind, but it was sort of in the mid-stage of the race where it really got pretty frenetic.
You know, what's really interesting in looking at all this now in hindsight is we can see that going to that soft tyre early for Suzuki and Miyazono, just it was the call, because that way you had clean air to drive into. You didn't have to be part of this constant squabbling between Sato, Morimoto. They treat each other with respect. If someone went for the pass, they didn't block it, they just let it happen. And they worked together and then sorted it out on the last lap, which is, I guess, what you want to do, really, if you're in that situation. And ultimately, all that fighting, like here, for example, seeing Kawakami just punch Sato into the wall, all that fighting just led to them losing time.
Yeah, absolutely right. And you can see there Miyazono with his move on the inside of Suzuki, just unsettling the BMW driver. This is in the closing stages of the race, though, and this is where it really began to take effect for Miyazono. We know the straight line speed of that Subaru wasn't particularly brilliant, but it was the tactics from Miyazono just sending it through right at the last minute, making that decisive, clinical move stick. Great respect between the two to give each other racing room. The upshot is it is first blood to Takuma Miyazono in the 2025 Manufacturers' Cup for the GT World Series, and now it is the Japanese manufacturer that is on top after this event as well. Of course, the points reflecting the grand final results. Suzuki and BMW in second, Kokuma and Mazda in third, Morimoto with a great fourth place as well as Okamoto, and Kamada in the McLaren sneaking the last points finish from Goto at the end of that race, who dropped down to 8th in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, such a nice move there from Miyazono at the end. Of course, Hashima there gets a bit of an honourable mention. He did start last in that Ferrari, got up to P7 unfortunately though. Doesn't matter, no points to P7, but it was a good move nonetheless.
No, absolutely right. Well, there we go. Takuma Miyazono and Team Subaru take the spoils here in London. Let's go down onto the floor, catch up with Jules and see what our winner makes of it.
Wow, okay, so Seiya, I mean, that was a lot. You are definitely a challenger. that was some amazing driving. How do you feel? Obviously, it's not the exact result, but I mean, you're up there.
めちゃくちゃいろいろあったレースですごいやっぱりチャレンジ精神がすごく見えたんですけど、今の心境はどうですか？結果は悪くないとは思いますけど。
そうですね。まず予選からその全体としては練習よりも結構速いタイムが出たので、そこら辺は予選は本当上出来だったと思います。で決勝もいい感じにペースは作れていて、最後の最後ちょっと宮園さんとのちょっとバトルに競り負けたっていうそういった感じになりましたね。ただちょっとレースの内容としては本当に良かったと思うので、次の次のグランドファイナルワールドファイナルにも備えて頑張ろうと思います。
Yeah, so I was actually faster than I had expected in qualifying and practice, and I was also able to keep a good pace in the final race. But it's just in the end, fighting against Miyazono, I lost, and but the race overall was very good. So I'm looking forward to the World Finals. So I think we're going to come on strong.
I mean, everyone at some point has Miyazono in their rear wing, whereas it's a lot. So don't worry about that. Ryota, it's good to see. That was great. It was a really great race. Obviously, was it kind of how you expected it to go? Because also you drive against these guys all the time. You know them really well. How did that come into play?
国分選手レースはすごく良くて期待通りの展開ですか？毎回同じ顔とすごい接戦を繰り広げてますけど今回のレースはどうですか？
まず予選がちょっと失敗してしまって6番手スタートということになってしまって、決勝は後ろと前とすごい激しいバトルを繰り広げつつ まあ、結果3位で終われたっていうのはとてもいいことだと思っています。
Yeah, so I kind of failed a little bit in qualifying, and we ended up on 6th. But during the final race, there was a battle going on in front of me and behind me, and I'm just glad to have been able to make 3rd, within that chaos.
I mean, it was a lot of chaos, so you did very well to come in 3rd. Should we give them a big round of applause? They did super well. That was a tough race. Let's throw it back up to Tom and Jimmy.
Cheers, Jules. Good to catch up there with our top 2 finishers of Sai Suzuki and of Takuma Miyazono. And let's get confirmation of the points. Of course, it does reflect the race results here tonight in the Manufacturers' Cup. The upshot is, it is now Subaru with a points advantage over BMW. Mazda there in 3rd place, ahead of Toyota, Nissan, and then McLaren. That is your top 6. So, yeah, pretty close at the sharp end of this one. I have to say, Lexus and especially Lamborghini will be pretty disappointed with how things have worked out here tonight.
Just some big names there with no points. Porsche, Lexus, Honda as well, AMG, who have always been very quick in these events. This new balance of performance, maybe not suiting this circuit here today, but of course, full points there from Subaru, so they'll be happy with that.
Absolutely right. Well, there are your points rankings then after the Manufacturers' Cup. Let's head, though, back down to Jules on the floor.
Let's give a huge round of applause to Takuma Miyazono. Okay, so we had a conversation yesterday, and you were like, I'm not really confident, everyone's really fast, I don't know how it's going to go. And I said, you're fine, you're going to be fine. And then every time you say this, and then you just come in and win. What the hell?
そう昨日話してた時はなんか今回ちょっと自信がないんですよねとかなんかいろいろ言われてましたけど、みんな速いしと周りが私は大丈夫ですよって言いましたけど、毎回ですよねこういう会話があって最終的にはもう全部持っていっちゃうみたいな。い
や今回はね本当にペースは僕自身速くなくて、ただ予選で上手にいって、2番手っていうところに行けて、で鈴木選手と一緒によく練習してたんですけど、彼がもうなんか圧倒的にレースが速かったので作戦を同じにしようと思って、でそしたら、多分彼についていくことができれば最後チャンスがあるかもしれないなと思ったので、そうですね、鈴木選手のペースが速かったおかげかなというふうにポジティブには思ってます。
Yeah, so this time around, I actually really didn't think I had the pace, but in qualifying, I actually did a lot better than I thought. I was placed in 2nd, and I practiced a lot with Suzuki actually, and he was really fast in all the practice that we went through. So my thought was, if I kind of followed his strategy, I might have a chance at the very end, and that actually worked. But I think it was because Suzuki was really fast that I was able to kind of keep up with him.
Okay, so Gala and I were sitting there watching, and we were watching, we're like, Miyazono's going to wait till the last couple laps, definitely. And then you came in with that sneaky going wide, coming in on the inside thing, and we're like, this is just classic Miyazono. I mean, these are your moves. This is what you're known for.
そうさっきガロ選手と話してたんですけど、宮園選手絶対最後の2ラップぐらいで仕掛けてくるよみたいな話を一緒にしてたんですよね。で実際一番最後で外からガッと内側に入っていて、もういつも宮園選手が見せている、典型的なパターンだという話を彼としました。
久々にうまくいったなと思いましたね。ただいつも残り2周で2周か1周かで仕掛けることが多いんですけど、みんな手の内分かっているのでちょっと違うことをしないといけないなと思って3周目でしたかね、最後から3周目に仕掛けましたね。
Yeah, so that actually went really well.
Yes, it did.
I was looking to do this on the second, or I usually look to do this on the second or the last lap.
Classic Miyazono.
Right, but because everyone already knows what I'm gonna do, it was actually the last 3 laps that I actually started going for it.
Oh, okay, so you mixed it up because we know your moves now, Miyazono. You have to keep it fresh each time.
じゃあパターンが知られてきてるんでちょっと変化球を投げたって感じですね。
いやそうなんですけど、ネーションズどうしようかなと思って。
Yeah, that's true, but now I don't know what I'm gonna do for nations.
Well, you'll figure out, and I'm sure you're going to do great. You always do great. Let's give a big round of applause to Takuma Miyazono! So good. Let's throw it back to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, cheers, Jules. It was Takuma time by the Thames here for the Gran Turismo World Series in London. And don't forget to vote for your driver of the day on YouTube as well. Is it Ryota Kokuben for Mazda? Is it Saya Suzuki for BMW? Or is it Takuma Miyazono for Subaru? In an alternative world where it was the Jimmy Broadbent driver of the day, who would you be voting for?
It's always really hard to look by the guy who's won the thing. You know what I'm saying? I think Miyazono had some great moves here, but Kokuben also was just completely involved in that massive squabble for the entire race and managed to come out on top. So I think a vote for me there for him. But of course, not up to me. It's up to you guys at home.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that was a really exciting race, and we saw some great strategies going on there. I have to say, Kanata Kawakami kind of left languishing in the latter stages and was kind of chasing his tail with the medium strategy. Obviously didn't work out for him, and then the incident kind of compounded that.
Yeah, that's the problem. When you go for that sort of strategy, you never really have ultimate pace. You have kind of 7/10 pace all the way through the race, and he was left really trying to fight with his guys on the softs, got desperate, and unfortunately led to that contact with Sato, which led to a 3-second penalty. But for the reigning champions Lexus, that's about the worst start they could have hoped for.
Yeah, not ideal at all. And I'm still not 100% sure what happened to Lamborghini and Gotto at the end of that one, because he was right in the podium battle at one point and then just dropped right back out the point.
We didn't see, which is a shame there. But again, he was really good. He made a really nice move earlier on in the race. I hope we'll get a replay of that at some point, where they're all fighting in front of him, and he through goes Hamilton.
Easy for you to say.
It's not easy. Can't do it. But no, it was good racing. Bit of a slow burn at the start, but as with most of these GT races, they all come together nice in one big melting pot of chaos. It was great fun.
Absolutely. Well, let's then get ready for the podium ceremony here in London for the GT World Series. Please welcome onto the stage in third place for Team Mazda from Japan, it's Ryota Kokuben. In second place for Team BMW, please welcome Saya Suzuki. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the winner of Gran Turismo World Series 1 here in London for Team Subaru, it's Takuma Miyazono! And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of our winning manufacturer, Team Subaru. The Japanese national anthem plays out for Team Subaru, the winning manufacturer of the first Gran Turismo World Series event of 2025. And now time for the trophies to be presented. First of all, the third place trophy. It is presented by the PR manager for Mazda, Owen Mildenhall. And it is awarded to the man who drives for Mazda, Ryota Kokuben. Third place for Team Mazda here in London. Second place trophy is presented by Belman Adarevic, the Chief Marketing Officer for Fanatec, as she makes her way onto the stage here in London. And of course it is awarded to the driver who finished in second place for Team BMW, Saya And the winning trophy is presented by the Gran Turismo Series producer Kazunori Yamauchi as he makes his way onto the stage in front of the crowd. And the trophy is awarded to Team Subaru's Takuma Miyazono!
I want a t-shirt now that just says classic Miyazono. How about you?
You've been Miyazono'd.
Yeah, you've been zonoed. Or, I don't know. We'll brainstorm the finer details of it later. But that was what a great way to kick off round one. How about you, Tom?
It doesn't seem to matter what he does. It turns to gold, doesn't it, Takuma Miyazono? He just, as I said in commentary, there's no adage for experience. And that was two very experienced drivers in GT going head-to-head. Great respect. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying that you thought that maybe Miyazono, because you're spending so much more time outside doing kind of real racing, that like maybe that would affect it, but apparently you're totally wrong.
Maybe I should shut up for a bit, shouldn't I? Just not say anything.
Finally.
If anything, he's just got better, which is very frustrating if you're anyone but Miyazono, basically.
I mean, it's been amazing to see everyone in the crowd here. Have you guys enjoyed it? Yeah! Do you fancy coming to Berlin or Los Angeles? Because we've got some tickets for that. Let's take a look. I'm excited about this. How about you?
Yeah, can't wait. It's, of course, kicks off in Berlin for World Series 2 in September. Then in November, we head off to Los Angeles, Fukuoka for the World Finals in December, right before Christmas. Someone's going to be going home pretty happy under the tree, aren't they?
Well, I'm just going to stay out for Christmas and New Year in Japan. That sounds blooming great. I don't know. How about, well, you know, you've got to get back, haven't you? You've got things to do at home.
Yeah, busy now. Don't get to have any time off like that, but it's going to be an awesome year this year and a great way to start off this. Miyazono, of course, victorious for Team Subaru.
And also a good night as well, let's be honest, because we've got Nations Cup coming along the way in, what, a couple of hours time? 20 to 7 local time we kick off, don't we?
Just enough time to get a few little sandwiches.
What is it with you and sandwiches and
I'm
cups
trying
of
to
tea
keep
at the
it
moment?
thematically London and English.
I need
all
something
right?
stronger after that race, I've got to lie to you.
All right, well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you the first round of the Manufacturers' Cup. We'll be back very, very soon with the Nations. You don't want to miss it. See you then.